Hello everybody, this is my next Star Trek video. So in September I put out my favourite top 10 episodes of the original series, and in October I put out my favourite Next Generation episodes, and then you've already seen my DS9 episodes. That was in November. And now it's my top 10 Voyager episodes. So, yeah, clearly I'm doing it in order. Although I'm going to struggle to do one for Enterprise. But this is my Voyager one. So Voyager came out as DS9 was on. And it was really good, I thought. There were some issues. So I think there was a few missed opportunities. I think they could have explored the sort of terrorist angle more. They could have had more dissent between people like Blenna Torres and Chakotay and the leadership, because they were put on there initially as rebels by accident, and I think it would have been quite good if there had been more clashes between them. But I think that's been said a lot, actually. I don't think that's a particularly original thing to say, but that was a bit of a missed opportunity. But all in all, there's a lot of good episodes, and I think Voyager made an attempt to be a bit more action orientated and to be a bit lighter, because it was following on from DS9, which was much darker and ended up being this big war. So I think Voyager wanted to kind of be a little bit more like the original series, I reckon, which it definitely succeeded in doing. I think some of the some of the main crew were a little bit plain as well, so they could have done more with Paris probably, but yeah, I thought it was a really good series, nice addition to Star Trek, and now some of the best Star Trek episodes are actually in Voyager. So as a whole, there are a lot of average episodes and episodes that weren't particularly a waste of time, but you didn't go, well, that was amazing. You just thought, that was nice. But there were some absolutely blinding episodes. So definitely my top 4 are amazing, absolutely amazing, and definitely some of the best episodes of Star Trek ever. But I've got 10 here that I think are the 10 best Star Trek Voyager episodes. So, and one other thing that is really weird, it seems like I'd already been praising Brannon Braga with the Next Generation ones and the DS9 one, so I clearly am a fan of Brannon Braga's writing, and he's been doing some stellar work on the Orville as well. But this is a massive celebration of Brannon Braga. He's written almost all of the episodes that I've picked, so he did write a fair amount of episodes, but that doesn't change the fact that clearly he was on the money as far as some of the best concepts in modern Star Trek. So here we go. This is number 10. Number 10. It's from season 1. It's episode 6, and it's called Eye of the Needle. And this is written by Hilary Bader, and the Teddy plays by Bill Dial and Jerry Taylor. So Jerry Taylor wrote a lot of stuff as well. And what was really good about this one, this was the first proper exploration of them being stuck in the middle of nowhere, wanting to go home, knowing that it would take like 70 years or something to do it properly, and they were looking for shortcuts. And this was the first chance they had to really think about that. And as a result, it's a really dramatic episode that really puts a lot of depth into their characters, and it's got a really nice tone to it. It's very Star Trek, and it's quite a beautiful episode, I think. So Eye of the Needle is one of the first deep episodes, one of the first reflective episodes, I think. So number 9 is from season 3, and that's episode 12, and that's called Macrocosm, and that's written by Brannon Braga. So Macrocosm is quite nice because it's an action piece. There's quite an iconic picture of Janeway in a sleeveless vest with a big gun fighting these massive bacteria. So there's a little bit of a Ellen Ripley thing going on there, which I think was a bit of a tribute, to be fair. I think it was deliberate, but yeah, it's a really good episode. It's an action piece, and by the end of it, you think that was nice. That was a bit different. Usually, the action in Star Trek is like a fleeting thing, and it's usually an incidental thing, often at the end of an episode, and doesn't really necessarily take up much of the time of the episode. Star Trek is normally about puzzles, thinking problems, and this was definitely more about beasties taking over a ship, and Janeway saying to everyone, "I've got this." She did that a few times. "I've got this," and then running around by herself with a gun trying to shoot them all. So yeah, Macrocosm is a good one. My choice for number 8 is again from season 3. It's episode 2, and it's the Thaw. So this is a hell of an episode. This is really good. This is an interesting setup where the Voyager finds this group of people. I think there's 3 of them that are stuck in stasis on these machines, and they can't get them out. And they find a way of going inside the machines, and there's this sort of simulation going on. And ultimately what happens is they discover that these 3 people that are in stasis are stuck there through fear, and the whole episode is them having to deal with fear. So there's like a personification of fear, which is portrayed brilliantly by Michael McKean. I'm a big fan of Michael McKean anyway, so that was a really big bonus. When I saw him, I couldn't believe it. But he does it so well. But it's such a great idea, and it's such a great episode, because you do wonder halfway through how they're going to get out of this, because it seems like they can't go beyond their fear, and they can't get out of this situation they're in. It's really, really good. And I'd say that's one of the episodes I'd introduce people to Voyager with, if I had to do that, because it's such a strong episode. So that's number 8, The Thaw. Episode number 7 is from season 6, and it's episode 12, and it's Blink of an Eye. And that's written by Michael Taylor, Joe Minosky, who's written loads of these with Baron Bragger mostly, and Scott Miller. Blink of an Eye is a really awesome episode that kind of explores the Prime Directive and that idea of a civilization that's underdeveloped, that sees the advanced technology of the Voyager ship and then creates a religion around it, but it only appears now and again to them because time is moving in a different pace to what Voyager is because of the natural properties of the planet, and that becomes part of the plot of it. And each time they see this planet, it's advanced. The actual civilization has advanced loads because so much time has passed since the last time they saw it. So it's really clever. It's really, really good episode. Blink of an Eye. Episode 6 is from season 5. It's episode 1, and it's such a interesting atmospheric episode. It's called Night, and it's by Brandon Braga and Joe Minosky, who seem to be like the dream team on this series. It's called Night, and it's a big showcase for Jerry Ryan playing 7 of 9. I think what's really interesting about 7 of 9 is that she was brought on board to bring in a younger audience and to sort of stick these sort of pictures of this model out onto the science fiction magazines and get everyone watching it. But she's actually a really good actress, and she had some fantastic episodes. And actually, a lot of the episodes that were focused around 7 of 9 in Voyager were some of the best episodes. And this is a really good example of that. And basically, they've got to go through this nebula that they basically have to put everyone under, and it's in complete darkness, and it's down to the Doctor and 7 of 9 to kind of take them through it. And there's a couple of episodes like that. There's another one called One, which is really good, with similar kind of tone to it, similar plot, but done really well. And again, a great showcase for Jerry Ryan. So yeah, season 5, episode 1 is my choice for number 6, and it could have been 1 as well, because that's a really good one. Choice number 5 is from season 4, episode 4, and that's called Nemesis, and that's written by Kenneth Biller, who's written previously before for Star Trek. And this is a really nice episode. I remember really loving this because the first part of the episode, a big chunk of the first part of the episode, you're just focusing on Chakotay, and he's got involved in these people on this planet that are being attacked through prejudice by this other people on the same planet, and Chakotay's interaction with these people, and you're watching these people, and you do get this impression that they are victims. And then when it cuts to Voyager, after quite a long time where it's just focusing on Chakotay, cuts to Voyager and the people on the bridge, and they're dealing with the other side, and the other side are saying the same thing about the people that are with Chakotay. And it's just a really, really nice way of just showing you that a civil war kind of situation can look like both sides feel like they're victims, and ultimately, it was very difficult for the Voyager crew to see who was right, who was wrong, all that kind of stuff. And it's a really good episode to explore that and the futility of conflict. And it reminds me a little bit of the original series episode "Let This Be Your Last Battlefield," but that's a little bit more blunt and crude in the way it does it. This is quite a subtle way of doing it, and it's done really well. So that's Nemesis. That's my choice for number 5. Number 4 is from season 3 again, and that's episode 26, and it's a 2-parter, so it goes into season 4 as well. So the conclusion is the start of season 4, and this is Scorpion. So the Borg are in Voyager quite a lot, and that's obviously because they're in the Delta Quadrant, and that's where the Borg originally came from. So they thought it was a good opportunity to bring the Borg back, and they do explore it a lot. And this is the 2-parter that brings 7 of 9 onto the ship, and it's just fantastic. The Scorpion idea, again, which is fantastic, is they figure they need to get through Borg space, and they need to do it by jumping on something else to help them get through it, and they don't know if that's going to bite them at the end of it. It's just really, really good. But ultimately, this is how 7 of 9 joins the crew. So yeah, that's a great 2-parter. Number 3, my choice for number 3 is literally just one of the greatest Star Trek episodes ever. It's written by Brannon Braga and Joe Menosky again. It's episode 23, and it's called Distant Origin. Distant Origin is about a species called the Voth. They're kind of humanoid lizards, and they have this belief that they've always been on the planet to live on, but there's a scientist who believes that they come from another planet. And this scientist is being persecuted for heresy, and the government think that he's dangerous, and Voyager get involved, and there's just a really awesome conclusion to the whole thing that comes back to life on Earth, and that whole idea of this being a big metaphor between science and religion, tradition and progress. And I know that Brannon Braga has been on record as saying that he saw it as a metaphor for the Galileo situation. It's such a good episode. So Distant Origin, another one that I could show to someone and say, this is Voyager at its best. And really, this is Star Trek at its best. So Distant Origin was my choice number 3. Number 2, another really, really good sort of puzzle episode. This is season 4, episode 23, Living Witness. And this again is written by Brannon Braga and Joe Menosky, with Brian Fuller co-writing it with them. But that dream team is written Living Witness. Living Witness is really compelling because basically it's all down to the Doctor to set the record straight when this futuristic museum has got a completely opposite definition of what happened with Voyager because of some of the things they found in the sort of wreck of Voyager. And basically, it's showing that the you can get a completely wrong interpretation from the things you might find in archaeological sites or some sort of historical sites, and it's the Doctor's job to say, "Whoa, hold on a minute, they weren't like that. That's not what happened. This is a crazy interpretation of what happened," and it's just really fascinating. It's a brilliant idea, and again, very reflective, very good Star Trek, very good science fiction. And then my number 1, and I've seen it recently as well, I've seen it a number of times, It's so brilliant. Again, it's a really good two-parter. So Voyager had quite a good hit rate with the two-parters. They seem to conclude them well. But with this two-parter, every minute is brilliant. And this is in season 5. It's episode 25, and it goes into season 6 as well. The beginning of season 6. It's called Equinox. It's written by Rick Berman and Brandon Braga and Joe Minosky. So those two again, but with Rick Berman, big head honcho, working with them on it. And Equinox was another starship that was stuck in the Delta Quadrant. But what's really interesting is that what starts as a friendly, oh great, you're in our situation as well, it's so nice to meet you. What kind of situations have you had? Let's chat about it. It gets very dark. And by the time the first episode ends, you know that they are a very different crew, very different principles, very different moral compass. And Voyager is threatened by them, basically. And then the second episode concludes all that. And it's just absolutely brilliantly done. Yeah, John Savage plays the captain of the Equinox. And this whole thing is really interesting. It's very sinister and just brilliantly done. So there we go. So that's my 10 choices for my top 10 Voyager episodes. I think it was a great show. It did have a fair share of average episodes. But average Star Trek is still good in my book. But it had some absolutely brilliant ones as well that are up there with the best Star Trek, I think. So yeah. Thanks for watching. Please give me a comment if you've got any other things that you suggest, any other great episodes. There's a bunch of others I could have put in there. But I'd love to know what you think of those choices and your own choices. I am going to soon do my favourite characters as well. So look out for that one if you're a Star Trek fan. And thanks a lot for watching. Bye.